And welcome back to No Free Drinks. This is your boy Wesley.
And Lena D.
Hey, and we'd like to first and foremost say Brock will no longer be here with us if you listen to the last episode, but that's okay. I definitely would like to wish him best of luck to his neuroscience startup and all that good stuff. And hopefully we'll have him as a guest at some point very soon within the podcast. But I would like to introduce to you somebody who has been on the podcast in a preceding episode on Girls Chat.
Chica's Chat.
Chica's Chat. My bad. Episode 25. Go cop that. So I definitely would like to reintroduce this person. We got a lot of good feedback from our listeners out there about this said person, and her name is Maddie. So let's welcome Maddie to the show, everybody.
Yay! So happy to have Maddie back.
Hey guys, I'm really happy to be back. Definitely appreciate you inviting me to be a full-time part of the team.
Yeah, we needed another lady on the team as well.
Whoa.
We were getting a lot of feedback from our listeners that we definitely needed more of a voice to women that think not like I do. So
more of a contrasting point of opinions.
So always happy to invite other points of view and have discussions. So we're super excited to have you on the show now full time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Maddie, since not to put you on the spot, but now that you're here with us full time, do you want to talk a little bit more about like this voice and what some of your goals or like things that you're looking forward to do with the podcast?
Absolutely. Well, you did say so. I love the podcast. Have listened to it from the very beginning. And I did feel like there was a gap, and I mean, I'm pretty awesome. So
no doubt.
Who better to fill that space and that void? Because I mean, we're diverse as fuck. And I think there was a need to just represent all walks of life and thoughts and opinions. And although, on a lot of things, I am just as opinionated as you, but sometimes, you need somebody to swing in the opposite direction.
Yeah, you just need to have a different conversation or introduce like sort of like that wild card that just takes the conversation into a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And today's episode is, let's talk about first. So we're talking about a lot of firsts today, and obviously this is the first podcast that you're on.
Yeah, but what about let's get the.
We're gonna talk about what today is.
Yeah, we gonna talk about Valentine's Day. Fuck
Happy Valentine's Day.
Nah, chill.
Well, what I was going to say as well was that this is the first episode that we're releasing on Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
So I know that there's different points of view about Valentine's Day. So that's what I thought would be interesting to just chat a little bit about. So, I mean, obviously you already said boo. So Why are you so anti-Valentine's Day?
Come on. You got the anniversary. You got Christmas. You got what else? The birthdays. You need another day? Valentine's Day? It's like, that's mad.
What do you mean you? Who are you talking to?
Who is you?
Who are you talking to?
As in, like, you.
All that's missing
like
is
self.
people. Like, you people. Go ahead and say it.
You female? Something. No. As in, like, you. As in, you in the relationship. Do you like me? I mean, Lena D used to get me gifts on Valentine's Day. I don't know. I felt weird about that. I don't know. Like,
yeah, he was always like, oh, I don't celebrate this.
I don't celebrate this.
Did you get her stuff?
Yeah, I did. And then I stopped.
And then I stopped too because I was like,
it's a lot.
I don't think it's a lot.
There's so many like edible arrangements you can get on Valentine's Day. Like,
I mean, they're edible. It's not that they last forever.
I know what I'm saying, though.
Yo, but their cantaloupe though.
Oh, the cantaloupe is dope,
Cantaloupe
though.
be popping.
Cantaloupe and the pineapple. When they went to star out of it and they put
With
the
the
stick
little
on
daisy,
it. Yeah. I'm sorry, my bad.
Sorry.
So that's a big tangent. But, like, there's only so much of that you can do. Like, you know what's crazy? It was the day after Christmas. I went to Target, right? I walked downstairs into the Target, wherever the floor room is at, whatever you want to call it. They already were putting out stuff for Valentine's Day. They're putting out heart-shaped candies and shit like that. I'm just like, bro, Christmas barely ended. Christmas was like literally 7 hours ago. And you tell me right now, like at the after Christmas sale doesn't eclipse that? You going right to Valentine's Day?
Tell them why you mad.
Come on, man. Come on, let's chill out. Relax.
Well, I'll offer a different experience with Valentine's Day. So I actually grew up celebrating Valentine's Day with my family.
What?
And
Aww.
it's called El Día del Amor in Spanish. So the Day of
The
Love.
Day of Love. There you go.
So for us, it wasn't necessarily about Valentine's Day being the definition of being in a relationship, but it was a definition of showing appreciation and love for those that are very special in your life, whether they're friends or family.
See, I do that. I show appreciation in my own way, Wesley's way.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is that?
What is that?
You know what? I
No.
don't think we want to know.
I don't think you want to know.
So I
It's
grew
X-rated.
up. The reason I would always be very like gun ho about celebrating it in the beginning of our relationship was because I've always celebrated it with my family. So like my dad would buy these really cute little teddy bear cards. Like they were these little plastic cards, and they came in all shapes and sizes. We used to get them at these like little music stores and bodegas in Queens.
Oh, okay.
And the little bears would always have some sort of Spanish saying, and like we would trade them with each other. So like basically like we would each get one for each other, but they'd be different. And then I'd get like the big ones for my parents. So it was always like a big thing. And it was like dad came home early for dinner that day. We would all sit down at the table and celebrate that we had love in our family. So Valentine's Day doesn't always have to be tied to being in a relationship. Unfortunately, that's what Hallmark has done. But that has been like my definition of Valentine's Day and why I always try to celebrate it with loved ones. But if you have a preconceived definition of it, I think it's harder for people to step out of that. You need to be like team in a relationship versus like celebrating it being single. And it's like, you have other people that you love in your life you could celebrate it with.
Yeah, Haitian
So.
culture doesn't do that.
Yeah. So as a single person in the room, I mean that's cool. That's cool. I like that. But that's not what it was for me growing up. So I definitely do have a anti-Valentine's Day view on it as well. And I know now you're seeing more and more about the like singles just celebrating Valentine's Day with your girls and all that jazz. But let's be honest, like Valentine's Day for the most part is just like, screw your singleness. You're alone. You're going to die alone with your 12 cats around you.
Oh, damn.
Like,
I think having 12 cats around you probably be amazing.
you're weird.
I mean, like, I guess when did that start? Because I never really started seeing that until maybe into adulthood, like maybe like 5 years ago.
It started in kindergarten when you had to like bring a Valentine for everybody. And then you had that one box that had no cards in it.
Damn, that's messed
This is
up.
before like the day and age where everybody got a participation sticker and stuff.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
back in those days. If you watch
Early
that episode
days.
of Simpsons where Ralphie had no cards, like that was a majority of us.
Yeah.
And I was a smart one. So I really never understood, like, y'all cheated off of me. I should have gotten a Valentine. So maybe I'm bitter. Never mind.
Oh, I do remember. See, I don't remember
I was an ugly
those.
duckling, so I never got anything. So
I do
Aw.
remember that in the classroom we did have the little boxes, and I do remember getting some, but they were never the highlight of my Valentine's Day because I felt like they were forced.
Yeah, because you had a backup. For the most, like, if you didn't have a
Wow.
backup, it was just like, this is it.
wow.
Ta-da, you ain't got nothing. And then the teacher had that one card that she gave for everyone because it's just like she knew some people weren't going to get nothing.
Oh man.
So yeah, I'm also anti-Valentine's Day. And also like when I've been in a relationship during or around Valentine's Day, I have yet to be with a guy who's like about it. It's just like, yeah, let's do something. I dated one guy I dated one guy and he made the reservations for the wrong day.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Like,
when
That's-
did he think it was? The 15th, the 13th?
oh, it was a whole week later.
Oh,
Girl, it was a mess. It was a whole mess. And it was just like, I don't even know if I should give you credit for trying.
because I can't remember if it's the 13th or the 15th is like the side chick Valentine's Day.
I thought Side Chick Day was the March 14th.
I didn't know there was
I
a
know
thing.
there's a thing. It's
Yeah.
It's Happy Side Chick Day.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a post. You know what? I'm gonna go into it in another episode, but
Okay.
there was a post
We got to look this one up.
on Instagram where this guy gave his side chick a cake and it said Happy Side Chick Day, and she had tears in her eyes. I was like, that's messed up. I gotta show you this post. This post is ratchet and ridiculous
Oh my gosh.
and hurtful at the same time.
I look forward to this.
So
Oh my god.
So I mean, we're gonna talk about this stuff like in our next
Yeah, next episode.
episode,
But
but
we're
I
not
did
gonna-
want to clarify before we move into it. And I found this article. It's Newsfix. We'll post it in our show notes in case you want to look it up.
Yeah.
But it's not in the official registries. However, there's a bit of back and forth on whether it's the 13th or the 15th because they don't get the main day.
Bruh.
They get the side
So
day.
you decide.
They get the day to the side on the calendar. That's fucked up. Which
The
side do
day
you want?
that
The left
becomes
side
a
or the right
official
side?
holiday is the
Yeah.
day I quit on all holidays. Like,
So you get like the day to the sides of the calendar. That's fucked up. That's messed up. You get the 13th.
or
Or
if
the
you want to look at
15th.
it differently, it's just like you so special, you get 2 days.
You know what would be messed up if the side chick day was on the 13th and it landed on Friday the 13th? How crazy would that be? You watching horror movies on side chick day.
She would just be happy to be there.
I don't.
All right.
All right, let's stop. Let's stop.
We
let's stop.
kind of digress
Yeah.
about our main topics. But anyway, for those that celebrate it, Feliz Dia del Amor, happy Valentine's Day. And
Happy
for those
Valentine's Day.
that hate Valentine's Day,
Happy February 14th.
Happy February 15th.
What?
Happy side chick day. I'm sorry, my bad. Happy 14th. February
Oh, man.
14th.
all right. So other first,
First, man. Other first. First dates. I don't know. That's weird because like I guess I would count my official first date. I had to sneak out of the house. Was in 11th grade, my junior year in high school. Yeah, I don't even remember it either. Oh no, I remember. I went to go see fucking Pitch Black.
What was that?
Pitch Black was that movie by Vin Diesel. That was like his like
You
that-
can stop now. Okay.
yeah. Oh, you don't like Vin Diesel like that? You were like, I don't even know Vin Diesel, do you? You don't know Vin
If
Diesel.
he's not driving a car, no.
Oh, wow.
He's like, that's the only movie I
That's the only
recognize him
movie
in.
I only recognize him driving cars.
If he's not driving, no. He can
So
stop.
like it was Pitch Black. They're fighting monsters and shit in these movies. Nothing really happened. We just went on a date. It was cool. I had a car back in those days. I had a 90 Corolla. And check this out. I was a junior in high school. So a junior in high school for me was like 2002. Yeah. This car was like 11 years old, 12 years old on its last leg. It was ridiculous. I was driving a hoopty basically. It was awesome though. I still had a car,
You
which
still get around.
I still could get around. It was better than the bike. It was way better than the bike. Now that I'm thinking about it, nothing really happened. I paid for the date. We went on a date. Got a little close because the monsters were coming out and shit, trying to eat Vin Diesel. After that, we were done. We went to Burger King. Yeah. Had a Whopper. I remember that. Because the Whopper made me sick that night.
What?
Yeah, I remember.
So
That
that
I remember
was
being
a
sick that night.
Sounds like a bad end to that date.
I got a
Yeah.
kiss on the cheek, which I was expecting more out of this, but
Because
I don't know why.
Because he
I
took
was
it to
weird.
Burger King?
Yeah,
he
basically.
let her have it her way, so he
Yeah,
thought-
basically, I let her have it her way. And then we just talked about like stupid shit. Like, I was on the volleyball team at the time.
Whoop, whoop, volleyball.
Was studying for Regents exams. Regents exams, by the way, that's a New York thing. Yeah, that was it. It's not very memorable. And then like college was just like, it's not really first dates because it's like we're all there. Like we all broke. So like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to the nearest cafeteria, eat this food together, and then come back. That's a date. If you really consider it, it's just two people hanging out, eating food or doing whatever it is, doing an activity of some sort. Like,
Yeah.
really, it's considered a date.
I was trying to think back to like my first date, and it's like the same thing. It's like, what really was a first
Like,
date?
what constitutes
Like-
a first date?
The best
I
shit in the
wasn't
world, like, got to
allowed
kiss.
out the house besides to go to school and
See,
church.
the thing is, I snuck out. Like preface, the first thing I said to my story is I snuck out the house.
Only time I snuck out, nah, that was a whole elaborate scheme.
Oh,
But
no,
I
no.
snuck to prom. But in terms of dates and stuff, nope.
To prom
I sure did.
with your dress on and everything?
Nah, I'm telling you, it was a whole elaborate scheme. Hopefully, my mom is not listening to this. Quick version is I faked a permission slip so that I could go to this conference, and because I was like mad involved in school, so I was like
Yeah.
president of this club and president of that club, secretary of that one. So I was like, there's an end of the year conference, and we need a dress because there's an award ceremony. And that's how I got my dress. And
So what
I
was
snuck
the
to prom.
award at the end? We're
What?
not gonna talk about that.
Oh, you thought I faked an award and all that? No, I just went to prom, okay? Because my mom was, she was
I
going to
was
let me
thinking
go.
X-rated, but I was like, okay, we're fine.
No, I was a
I'm
good kid.
surprised that she didn't ask to come if there was an award
Oh,
ceremony.
that's why I need a permission slip, because we were traveling.
Oh,
Because I spent the night out at a friend's place that night. Oh, y'all, I was on it.
Yeah, she was like, I got nominated for an award. That doesn't mean I'm gonna get one in real life.
pretty much. It's like the Grammys, Mom. But no, but back on track. In terms of a first date, yeah, I would say I was probably like in my 20s or something.
like what
because-
you define as a first date.
Yeah.
Or like, did you just go out with people and you just don't consider them dates?
Pretty much, because it's just, again, I wasn't really allowed out in high school. College, we were all on campus. It's like Wesley just said, we were all on campus. So she's just like, yo, I'm gonna meet you in the student center.
Yeah,
Cool. We gonna get some Sbarros.
Man, what you doing in the student center?
That wasn't really a date. So I'd say the first time a guy was like, hey, can I take you out on a date? And I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna get dressed up and not wear sweats. Potentially he'll pay. First one he actually did not pay because he ain't shit.
What?
But no, I think I was like in my mid-20s when I went on my first date. Also not memorable. Like, he definitely tried to smash the first night. I'm like, this
Oh,
wasn't
man.
even a good date, son.
Like, why
Like, you should back up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think I'm timid. Like, I don't ever try to smash
Timid.
on the first date. I've never tried that. I've never actually gone with that mindset. Like, I'm going to try to get in her pants the first date. I've always just let the date go where it goes. And then like, if it happens, it happens. But I never like went in the mindset, like, I'm trying to smash on the first. I feel like you put so much pressure on yourself. That's
I mean,
for a guy.
I think you can also like get into like creep territory.
Yeah.
too, if
Yeah,
you're
like see, I don't
intentionally-
do that. Like I went on a date one time. This is
Sidebar.
note. I went on a date one time, and the bar is so low. Like this woman, hopefully she's not listening because she's actually a subscriber. She was basically this. I should say, Vicky was basically like, oh, you're the first guy in a long time that's not staring at my boobs the whole time. You're looking at me in my eyes as I'm talking to you. I'm like, well, yeah, that's how this
That's
is supposed
how
to go.
That's
people
essentially
interact.
That's
where
how
the
people
bar is.
interact. I'm not
Yeah.
talking to your titties. They don't have like vocal cords. I don't understand.
Based on how some guys treat us, you would think that they did.
That's weird, man.
I've had guys ask me my cup size on the first date.
God,
straight
gosh.
up.
How do they ask?
That's just savage.
It is. And it's just like, are you serious right now? Sir,
God.
check please. I'm good.
I'm good. Bye.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's get on with this. Sorry for my little sidebar.
No, but I mean it's crazy. But anyway, yeah. So like to the whole first date thing, like I remember the first dates that I have with like certain guys that I dated, but I don't remember like what my real first date was. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I would say it's never like anything crazy. Like I remember always splitting stuff. Like I wanted to pay for my stuff. Like I remember even when we went to the Checkers and being like, "Oh no, I got mine.
Yeah,
Like you
the
buy
Checkers.
yours."
Them fries be good as hell though.
We're all purposely getting another line just so you know, like, I got this, thank you.
Say bye. But I think it's purposely because of that whole like expectation of like if you expect them to pay, they're gonna expect to have something from you. So I kind of always avoided that altogether. But yeah, nothing. I don't know. I don't have any like really like memorable first date stories. They all just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I do have a memorable first kiss story though.
Here we go.
And I will preface it and say that I guess it's not like the definition of a real first kiss, but I do remember it being like this thing that I spent a lot of time thinking about. So I was in the first grade.
Wait. You said first? Like,
And
first one?
the first grade.
Okay.
And I remember having a crush on this boy, and I'd had a crush on him since kindergarten. So he'd been in
Way
my
back.
classes, and like I'd always see him around, and I would always say hi, and like we'd kind of like talk like friends. And I remember around Valentine's Day one time, and I had kept kind of like thinking about it in my head. Well, I like this guy, but you know, I'm not really allowed to have a boyfriend.
Because you're in first
And,
grade.
Like, what does this even mean? Like, if I have a boyfriend, it seems like a lot, but I still kind of like him. So I decided that
you
for
trying to hook up.
Valentine's Day,
In the first grade.
I was
First
going to
grade.
kiss him on the cheek. So,
Aww.
so I remember like going up to him that Valentine's Day and saying hi and like asking him how he was doing and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, I have a little gift for you. And then I basically kissed him on the cheek and ran away.
That is so cute.
So that was kind of like my memorable, like kind of first kiss experience.
Aww.
I ain't got.
So mine happened when I was a little bit older. Just a smidge.
Man, she was like, "Go for it."
It was 7th grade, or the summer before 7th grade. You know that time where you just feel weird as a girl and as a guy, and you're just like hormones are. I'm just stop messing with y'all.
What kind of craziness is this?
I was like, did you have your period?
It was my first period. It was my first. No. So it was that point in time where it's just like going out was a big thing. It's just like, oh, you go out with such and such. So I had a crush on this guy. His fraternal twin had a crush on me. His friends talked talked me into like going out with the ugly twin. Lord, I hope he's not listening.
The ugly twin. But
He
they
was the
twins,
ugly.
though.
They were
Fraternal
fraternal.
twins.
Fraternal
They don't
twins.
look
My
alike.
bad, My bad.
The
my
cute
bad.
one was
I'm
just
sorry.
like, my brother really likes you. And because I liked him, I was just like, oh, fine, I'll go out with him. Long story short, I got mad at him one day. And when we were about to leave, this was over the summer, so summer camp. We were about to leave summer camp. If you're from Brooklyn, then you know you had to go catch that bus in that hot ass sun. So we're heading out, and he stops me. And he didn't have his 2 front teeth, right? So this man,
Bruh. Here we go.
this man leaned in,
Oh man, he leaned in.
like pretty much smacked me in the face with his face.
Oh my
geez.
god.
Forced this kiss on me, and then I could feel his tongue move between his teeth into my mouth. It was the most scarring event of my life. Like that was my first kiss. I don't think I kissed anyone again until like 9th grade. Let me stop.
Wow.
Wait, but
but-
he was in 7th grade. Where was he? Where did the teeth go?
Girl, I don't know. They just hadn't
Man,
grown
he had
back
baby
in.
teeth. He had baby teeth.
No, but 7th
By
grade?
7th grade, they should have grown back in, but they
Man.
hadn't grown back in.
Look, man, he had baby teeth.
He had a gap. Okay, it was gross. It was disgusting.
Man.
I was like,
And-
wait. I was like, if this was a first grade story, I would.
Then it would have made more sense, right? But that's what made it even worse because, like, you're essentially a grown ass man right now, and you don't have your 2 front teeth.
Wow. You're
But,
a grown-ass man. It's 7. Wow.
I'm just saying. But yeah, so that was my first kiss. It was scarring.
That does sound very scarring.
Man.
It was,
I'll
like,
take that
very
like
sad.
first grade kiss on the cheek over that any day.
Yeah. So mine was like not traditional, but I remember spending a lot of time thinking about it. So the fact that I still remember it now, like,
Says a lot.
I mean, I don't think I remember anything else from first grade other than that. But
Besides accosting a young man to kiss.
Y'all crazy.
so first time having sex, we go from kissing and then it's just sex.
I mean, that's the natural progression of things. So how old were you, Lena D?
I was 16.
Wesley?
I was 17.
Whoa. Oh, I thought you meant like 7, period.
Whoa.
I was like, oh shit.
I was trying to think. I was like, was I 17, like kind of broaching on 18, or was I 17? Let's just say 17 going to 18. Like I was real close to 18 when it went down.
Same. I was 17 going on 18, like a few months before my birthday.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to spare the details.
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to skip over all of that.
I ain't going to none of this.
But what I do
overall, we started young.
It's G-rated.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people that started even younger, but what's really interesting is that I was looking into, like, what are the general attitudes of, like, people having sex for the first time. And teens that are growing up now are actually, like, more responsible than we were when it comes to having sex.
Because they whack.
Unbelievable.
Excuse me.
Because they got all this social media and technology and stuff. I sound like the old man right now.
Yeah,
You
really
sound
do.
like
Please
a
stop.
very old man. Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, this article was published by CBS News, and some of the stats around how old women and men are when they're reporting having sex for the first time. So women are between the ages of 15 and 19. 42% of them say that they have sex during that age range. For men, it's 44%. And they've actually dropped drastically because when they took the survey back in 1988, which would have been like, well, when we were born, but like we weren't teens yet, but 51% of women said that they had had sex between those ages, and 60% of men had said that they had had sex between the ages of 15 and 19.
So I'm talking about sexual responsibility. They ain't trying to catch nothing out here. They all about getting this work in, I think.
Well, the article doesn't really talk about like what they do, but the ones that do have sex are actually very responsible about it.
There you go. That's what
So it shows that basically very few of the teens had decided to have sex with someone they just met. So they were looking for somebody that they had some sort of established relationship with. And so out of the percentages of everybody that they talked to, only 2% of women and 7% of men said that they had lost their virginity with someone they just met.
That's awesome.
So that's great, because I remember people were just like trying to lose their virginity in high
To
school.
anyone who was able to,
Yeah. Like,
Hats off to this generation.
I
We've
thought that
been
was
giving
pretty
them shade, but
Man,
All
I
right.
think it's because all that technology's out there.
I mean, there
I
are
think it's
studies
because,
showing that
like-
they're not interacting as much, period.
Yeah.
So I guess not having sex is a natural part of that. But still, even the ones that are having sex are more responsible about it. And I mean, what could that be attributed to? It could be the education that's around. Because
I wouldn't even take it that far. Because I feel like that education stuff is on a state by state basis. That's not like that is
okay,
not like
fine, it's Google.
You know, the internet can be a great tool to teach, but it's also a bad place to teach at, because as much as you can find some responsible stuff, you can find some really bad shit like Pornhub. I'm not saying porn is bad, but I'm just saying like I'm just saying like being exposed to things like porn is not really the best way to teach you about sex, because porn isn't really sex at all. But luckily, Pornhub's starting to do like this whole let's teach people about sex. I don't know. Like they have a campaign for it. I don't know if that's really like how it works exactly. But yeah.
Okay. So when I said Google, I just meant like
You mean like Google
they
searching.
could find information, not like they're going on there.
You know what's a great
porn.
teacher though? Like
Wikipedia?
No. You know what's a real good teacher? Pictures. You show pictures to
Of
kids.
STDs and
of
stuff,
STDs
right?
and shit.
Exactly.
They gonna. I did it with Lena D's brothers, and man, responsible as hell. I'm telling you,
Absolutely. That's
super
what I'm
responsible.
thinking about.
They're super
Because I remember
responsible.
doing those reports.
I would do it every year. Every year I'll come by for Christmas. I'd be like, yo, y'all need to see what this STD looks like. And I would show them herpes and stuff and what herpes looks like. And they'd be like, I don't want none of
They're
that.
like, what is
I don't
that?
I don't want none.
That used to be a penis.
Yeah.
It's
that
like,
used
ugh.
that used to be something that was healthy, but it's not anymore because they decided to either not have sex without a condom or not have sex without any form of protection. So
With
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more forms of protection that protects against like pregnancies and stuff, but not exactly like.
Well, there's like women condoms, male condoms.
There's tons more options.
You know,
and it's more accessible now. I'd
Yeah.
say like when we were growing up, it was, you got the side eye for talking about it openly. Now
And
it's
that's
just
the
like,
problem. It's like when you don't talk about
it's
it.
still like that
Open.
though.
yeah.
It's
Well,
still-
yeah.
In some places.
In some places, but I think there's definitely more education around what sex education really looks like.
Right.
But I think in general, Wesley, to your point, in the US, it's not culturally like that.
Right. I feel like it's not culturally acceptable still now to teach about like to be comfortable with your own body. I feel like it's not comfortable with talking about being a homosexual male or female, whatever that is, being transgendered. I feel like none of those things are being talked about. Like they're being talked about now because there are prominent people like Bruce Jenner or the person known as Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner. Who's the actor that does Orange is the New Black? Her.
Laverne Cox.
Laverne Cox. There was another person I'm thinking about, RuPaul. But I feel like RuPaul was like the person who like said like it's okay to do to you know to dress, you know, be a transgender person. But it's never, and we don't teach things like there's another thing we don't teach is like sexual dysfunction. As much as we like to talk about, you know, being comfortable with the idea of having sex and comfortable, you know, with the idea of sharing your body intimately with somebody else, I feel like we don't talk about dysfunction. Like dysfunction may mean like, oh, you know, as much foreplay as we're doing, like woman's not getting wet. Like that is actually a dysfunction. Like that actually has happened. That I forget what they call that, where you perform oral sex on a woman, or you try to get her aroused, but she's not being aroused. She's not getting wet, whatever. Another sexual dysfunction is ED. We don't talk about that much. What could cause ED and things not things, but what could cause ED in men, like stress,
Or like stress related
stuff. Like we don't talk about any of that stuff.
I mean, we
ever.
talk about them here on No Free Drinks, but in the United States, they don't.
No, United States definitely.
But there are countries out there that do a really good job
Most definitely.
of making sure that in early stages, so like when people are still children, that they're providing comprehensive sex education.
Right.
So that's like a completely different approach from how we do it in the United States.
Right. And one more thing that we really don't broach is prostitution. I feel like is legal in certain areas, but we don't talk about prostitution as a whole. Like, why does it happen? Like, who benefits from prostitution? What comes out of it? Like, how does it benefit the economy? Or how does it affect you morally? Like, these are things that we don't really talk about. We just say prostitution is bad. Boom, blah, blah. She's a sex worker. Like, she is like the dreg of society. I feel like that's really, that's messed up. I think there's more to it as to why a woman decides to, or even a man decides to, you know, strip or be nude. These are things that we don't really talk about.
Yeah, it's all about being so well.
I feel we talk about the money aspect, like, oh man, you know, she's stripping, she's getting this money, and that's all we talk about. We don't talk about like how did it happen? What led this person to being in that position in the first place? Now, if we could talk about that, we might find that there's some big commonalities in there, like how the person lives and, you know, how they grew up and, the types of abuse that may have happened, like sexual abuse and things like that. We don't really get into that.
Oh yeah, because that's like too.
I'm sorry, I'm getting
too
granular.
Much,
yeah,
it's too much going into a deeper level.
Yeah.
But at the root of everything that you're saying, it all comes down to all these social factors. And at the end of the day, the United States is a very socially conservative place compared to other countries abroad. And the fact that you talked about, like, hey, we don't talk about comprehensive sex education.
Yeah.
We don't talk about being pro-gay, like LGBTQ equality and legislation that reflects that. We don't talk about like nude or topless beaches. Like that's completely like an unheard of concept in the United States.
Except hedonism in Jamaica. Oh,
That's not in the United States.
I think they have some beaches.
They do here?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
in
they have
Florida.
them in I think they have them in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can
but
go
do we
topless in
talk-
Florida.
But do we talk about them?
Oh no, we definitely don't.
No,
Like,
it
they
is
just
similar
exist.
with what he said.
They're
It's
just
just
there.
like we kind of just shun it.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, we do see in a lot of other countries and other societies where it's welcomed.
Yeah. Especially
Um,
French Polynesia. I was like, what the hell? Her titties are out.
Okay.
This is why we need to talk about it.
I was like, oh
Like
my
you've
God.
never seen titties.
No,
before.
I'm
What
not.
the
I'm
hell?
just like, yeah, you have, but it's just like the only times when you see like titties out there and being free is either if you're on 42nd Street in the red zone,
Word.
or it's Pride.
Okay.
Okay,
The
well,
only two times.
I mean, they're
I know there's
titties.
more times, but
Titties, but
they're just
anyway.
titties. I'm sorry.
Because we have them, Lena D. So
Yeah, I'm
to
just
us,
like,
we're just like, I see
There's
these
always gonna be a
apples every
fascination with
day.
guys and titties. I'm just sorry. Okay.
All right. So
Anyway, so going back to countries that are much better about not having sort of these like areas of division and like they're much more open about what they choose to talk about. We actually did find a few places and countries that do this a lot better than we do. And the fact of the matter is that a part of sort of what we're seeing with these trends and teens, like not having as much sex in their obviously as teens, and being more responsible about sex. I think a part of it is because they can find information. But if you look at statistics in terms of teen pregnancy and when teens themselves are starting families and stuff like that, you would see that America's averages are a lot higher than any of like the European nations. So like the Netherlands, for example, they have an event around it and it's called Spring Fever, where they start talking about sexuality with children at age 4.
Oh man.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. What?
I was like, spring fever. That sounds like some.
because you said it's an event.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, wait.
Hold on. We ain't about to get some crazy, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
good.
It's like it's a big thing for them. Like that's their designated in the curriculum. It's designated time. This is what they talk about, and it's a week in like their primary school across all of the Netherlands. So regardless of like which town or city that you're in, and they focus on sex ed classes. They start out with 4-year-olds, but then they also have like a designated curriculum depending on like your age group. So at age 4, they're starting to talk about what sexuality means, like sort of like your gender identity, very kind of like light just to get people to know like body parts, this and that. Once they move into the 8-year-old age group, they talk about self-image and the stereotypes that come around with your gender. So like you're starting to become more aware of sort of these constructs and not just the fact that you're a boy or a girl, which I think is the extent of the conversation in the United States. And then 11-year-olds end up talking about sexual orientation and the options that they have for contraception. So very comprehensive, very much starting those conversations early on, which I think it's part of that responsibility factor that we're seeing now with some teens. It's just, I think if families have more of an open approach, these are some of the benefits of that.
That's totally true. I know I was looking it up, and in Switzerland, it's similar in terms of when they start. There, it's around age 5 that they'll start. So around kindergarten, they'll start talking to kids about sex education. But in Switzerland, it's more along the lines of good touch, bad touch. versus their sexuality as a whole. But then as they get older, similar to in the Netherlands, as they get older, they expand the topics that are discussed. And they used to have, because I'm not a parent, I'm just like, that shit is awesome. But if I was a parent, I think I would have an issue with this. So they used to have what they called a sex box that had, exactly, that had plush representations of your body parts, of genitals. So it was like a plush vag and a wooden penis. It was crazy. So at this point they've banned it and they're just like, okay, so maybe this wasn't a good idea. But it had originally been sent out to all the schools and it's just like, yo, this is part of your curriculum. Use this to teach kids. But that's how open they were to making sure kids really had an understanding of their body parts. Now, especially in the States, like you find we hide it. We don't want to talk to our kids about it. It's like a sex ed or a sexuality class in college. And that was one of the things that we talked about heavily, just like how we pretty much tell kids, the only part that we talk to kids about now is just what's bad.
Yeah.
Touching your private parts are bad.
What?
Don't do that. You know, there, Switzerland is just like, yo, get it where you fit in. Touch it. This is what it's supposed to look like. Like, this is what it feels
awesome.
like.
Oh my God.
And get accustomed to it. But, you know, we
That's
talk
true.
about like your uncertainty about your gender identity. When you have a whole culture that's telling you this is what it is, get in where you fit in and nobody's going to judge you, it makes a huge difference. And talking about your point on prostitution, so in Switzerland is bomb, guys. I was there.
Should probably move there.
What?
I was there a few months ago and it was just like, yo, y'all are awesome. I didn't know this when I was there, but they have
You laughing? I feel like this is some bullshit that's about to come out right now.
it's a drive-in.
What? Wait. Come on.
They
Have
have
a prostitution drive-in?
they have a prostitution
Come
drive-in.
on, son.
Essentially, there are designated areas where you could take your prostitute, drive up, and get it in, and nobody's gonna bother you. You're like, it's
This
not
has to be
it's
legal,
not
though,
criminalized. It's legal.
Okay.
It's a like it's
So,
a
but it's
state
like-
funded parking lot with like walls and shit.
So you just have sex in your car.
You have sex in your car, but you have your privacy. No cop is about to come knock on your window.
Oh, wow.
Like, and it's the designated area. So I'm assuming if you're having sex in your car anywhere but there as a prostitute, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this. But I mean, it's legalized. It's okay. It's understood. And because it's legalized, then there's more controls over it. You have less incidences of human trafficking. You have less cases of women getting caught up or forced into this life because you have to register. Similar to how it is in the Netherlands. Like if you're a prostitute, you got to register with the state. You have to register and you have to get tested regularly. You have to, like, they have all of these rules just like owning or running any other business. They pay taxes. It's crazy.
I
But-
mean, that's the way it should be. It's legitimized.
Exactly. You're not forced underground the way it is here. And you have these women like living these dismal lifestyles
That's crazy.
versus just saying, all right, so what's good? How can we make money off of this?
That's pretty awesome. Like, just that transparency makes such a difference in how society ends up reacting to it. And then just saying, like, well, this is a profession. We might as well get our taxpayer dollars out of it. And we might as well make it safe for, like, the community.
Exactly.
Because, like, nobody's just going to end up going to these drive-ins unless it's for that purpose.
Like, you don't end up in a drive-in because you took a wrong turn. Like, you were there with
That's kind of
intentions.
Yeah, intentions. Do some bad things or some good things, however you want to call it. Anyway, well, there's a country. In France, the sex education is part of their curriculum, but they don't teach it until you're in middle school, like you're in 8th or 9th grade. And then they teach like 30 or 40 hours of sex ed, which is like 30 or 40. I always compare it to like the United States because it's like where I was born. So yeah, that's 30 or 40 hours more than I ever got for sex education. Just put it that way. Because I never really had a comprehensive sex education class at any given point in the 12 years of school that I've had.
I remember it was
public
like,
school.
It was like a
Public
few
school.
days.
It was a few days in health class in 8th grade, and then that was pretty much it.
I went to Catholic school. We didn't even get that.
You didn't get that at all?
I didn't. I was surprised when I had my first period. Let's put it like that. I was just like, what's happening?
Oh my God.
And the other thing is, when you have all these proponents against it, where it's just like, no, it's the parents' right. The school shouldn't be doing this. Well, when you have parents like mine who is just like, I'm not talking to you about that.
Yeah.
That's
I
terrible.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Everything I know about sex, I learned in porn.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Porn is a bad way to learn
That is
again.
the worst way to learn about it.
That is the worst way to learn.
Oh, so that's what a
about.
penis looks like. Like,
yeah. It looks like that. I'm totally.
Oh, and
not
that's kind of what my thing looks like, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like
I was well into high school before I did the whole, lay down in front of a mirror to see what it looks like. Yeah. Because
yeah,
let's
I mean,
be
if you don't
honest.
know, like, what are you're not. If you don't know, you don't know. It's not like something you think about.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was always very curious, so I think I was in 2nd grade. When I
Okay.
discovered mine.
You also
Okay, you know what?
forced a guy to kiss you
Man, you need to
in
stop.
first grade.
Yeah. I was in first, 2nd grade when I looked at my junk. Like, come on.
But
No.
I'm actually very surprised that France doesn't start like their
Earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
earlier.
Like for all their loving culture or whatever, I'm surprised they don't start earlier. I don't know why that's about.
I
What's
don't
that
know.
about?
Or maybe it's because it's more ingrained in the culture overall.
Maybe
That could
they
be
just
true.
expect the parents to kind of set it up for them. Maybe
Yeah.
like that's their balance. Like the parents are more comfortable talking to kids. So then once they go into like 8th or 9th grade or whatever, like it's just supplementary to what they've already learned at home. I don't know.
Exactly.
But Germany's another country that starts them early too. Like they start as little as 5 years old. In Berlin, some of the outskirts cities, or I guess like more rural cities, start a little bit later, like 8 to 9, but that's still like reasonably young. And they also cover like I actually think like what they include in the curriculum is really interesting, because I think back to the curriculum that we had, or none
Didn't have.
there, none at all. So like they talk about like the process of growing up and how your body's going to change, your like potential emotions that you might have, and like what's the definition of homosexuality, and actually talk about unwanted pregnancies and what could lead to that. So I think having those conversations are really important. They actually talk about abortion, but like what can be complicated with abortion. So you might just not want to get pregnant at all, maybe. So they're very transparent with all this stuff, which I thought was really cool. But I don't know. One day, maybe in the US. What do you guys think?
I
One
think
day.
for me, I know it's going to start at home. Like, it's just going to have to be me having that conversation with my kids that my parents didn't have with me. And because you can't control what the schools teach. Have y'all heard about Common Core? I'm not messing with
yeah.
y'all. So it's just like,
Yeah.
I want to have full control over my kids' understanding. I think
Same
more
here.
people have to be willing to have those conversations with kids. It's awkward. It's weird. Because a lot of people feel like you're sexualizing them, but it's like, nah, it's just education.
Just educating them, just like anything else.
Basically. Yeah. Haha.
All right.
I'm over. I
So-
keep looking at you, thinking you're gonna continue.
Say
saying
something real of
important.
substance.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not. Other first time buying a sex toy, having an orgasm. What?
Oh, you have some stories to share.
I ain't got
Wesley?
no kind of stories to share.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, first time I had an orgasm with a female was 17 years old.
Not with my hand and Palmer's.
Was 17 years old. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying who it was with.
Oh,
The
right out
first
the
time was
gate.
pretty bad. was awful.
How do you have a bad orgasm? I don't want to know. Never mind.
No, well, the experience was bad. So it's just like,
But you came.
what?
See, that's the luxury. Like, if it's a bad experience for me, like, I'm not
I'm
going to
not
come.
coming. Like the fact that
Like-
you can't. See, that's the difference.
But no, there's differences though. Like sometimes you bust harder than others. I'm just
Okay.
saying. Like
That was
it was just
a
like
little
a weak one.
aggressive.
I know it was very aggressive, but it was like it was weak. It was a weak one.
Okay.
Okay.
It was like a regular light.
shut up.
So it was like no different than when you gave yourself an orgasm.
Yeah, basically.
When it was you and Palmer's.
Yeah,
Alright.
basically.
Oh, man, that's kind of defeats the purpose, but okay.
Yeah. And then the first time buying a toy, I didn't even buy the toy. You actually bought it for me.
Please specify who you is.
You, as in Lena D.
Not
you,
Maddie.
as in Maddie. Maddie definitely didn't buy me no damn toys.
I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Maddie definitely didn't buy me no damn toys. That's crazy.
Well, talk
Oh.
about how that experience, because I know that we.
How did that make you feel?
It didn't make me feel like anything. I was just like, I can't eat. I don't know. This is not going to help me get off. That's just me.
I know, because you weren't being open minded about it.
Open minded.
Yeah.
It's not about being
What was it?
open-minded. It was the fleshlights, whatever you call them. Fleshlights.
Oh,
Yeah. I think that's what it was. Was it? Yeah, I think
Lena
it was.
D.
Well, no, so the first toy, like, actually, you're getting them confused. The first sex toy that I purchased you was a prostate massager.
No?
And
Ew.
the first one that you purchased yourself was the fleshlight.
Nah, it was. Nah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah,
didn't even use
Because I
that
was
damn
wondering
thing.
why she
You-
would get you a flashlight. That's
yeah,
kinda weird.
like you used the fleshlight and you didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then I bought you the prostate massager, but you weren't like, you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not about this life.
And I was
Yeah.
like, come on, you should be open
No.
minded.
No.
no means no.
Yeah,
Not your cup of tea, but
basically.
and I guess when you said about oral, I remember the first time that I received oral. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty freaked out.
Really?
Because like I had already like made out with my boyfriend at the time. We'd like fondled each other, but
Some
he
heavy petting.
like, you know, all the like touching and like heavy petting and stuff, like getting fingered and stuff like that. But he'd always like he'd never do anything with my clitoris. So like I didn't really know that the sensation would feel the way that it did. So I kind of was like, when he started licking my clitoris, I was just like, what is that? Am I supposed to feel like this? And I started freaking out. Like he needed to calm me down.
How old were you?
16.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, my first time I was down for the cause.
Oh wow.
It was before I lost my virginity. It was the summer before I started college. So I know I started college at 16, so I was a youngin.
Hey.
Yeah. But I was like, because this guy, we weren't even dating or anything. It was just like we were good friends, real good friends. And you know, at that point in time, that age, it's just like it's such a big deal for guys to get head. And I was just like, you're not getting head unless it's an even exchange.
Hey.
So my first
gotta
time
lick
giving
it
and receiving was on the
before
same day
you
with the
stick
same
it.
guy. And he went down on me first, and I was super nervous because I was just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'd had orgasms before just from like
Yeah.
masturbating, but I was just like, but it's gonna happen. I don't care. Like it looks so awesome in porn.
jeez.
That's
Here we
really
go.
how I felt, and it happened, and it was amazing. It was great. We're still friends.
You're still friends. It's like I keep him around.
Yep. Hey.
Yeah, it's always interesting because like and then even like when he went down on me, it felt good, but I didn't like really orgasm from it. Like it took me a while to actually find somebody that knew what they were doing. But
Oh, he was a pro. I'm gonna send you my
You
guy's
were-
number.
you were lucky. You were lucky.
Indeed, indeed. Do we want to ask Wesley?
What? About oral?
Yes.
Oh. It's not very exciting. I didn't come anyway, so. And a story.
Not even your cum light.
No,
I'm joking.
Not even your cum light.
no. She was pretty awful. So, yeah,
Sorry, homie.
yeah, it's okay. That's life. Yeah, it's pretty bad, but you know, what are you gonna do? Get your whole life ahead of you.
Go get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Maybe we're fine at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah,
so.
basically so. All right. That's the end of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about today's episode. Just hit us up on our Contact Us form at nofreedrinks.com. Or if you're lazy like me, which is all the time, you can hit us up at nofreedrinks@gmail.com.
And that was our episode for today. Thanks for coming. I hope that it was good for you too. This is Lena D. Kisses.
This is Wesley. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
And this is Maddie. Later, Gator.